Hi everyone, this is Jeff from the Front Range Community College Library, and today we're going to go into detail on how you would get an APA citation from the database CINAHL. So I'm already in CINAHL here, and I touched on this a little bit briefly in the earlier video on how to use CINAHL, but let's do this a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to go a little bit slower so that you can get a better idea. The other one I went pretty quickly. So I've got a list of articles. I've already done my search here, and which I show you how to do in the earlier video. And so from this citation, they give you a big citation here, but that's not an APA format. If you want to trigger one that has an APA format, which is usually what you're going to be asked for in nursing classes or science classes or psychology classes, the sciences really like APA. So what you would do is click this little button over here on the right where it says Cite. So click Cite, and then we're going to look in this list. It gives you a list of all these different types of citations. And here's an APA citation that's pretty close. We'll have to make some changes to it, but what we're going to do, we're going to highlight this, right click on it, and copy it, or hit Control-C on your keyboard. Then I'm going to open up a Word document, which I already have open here. Let's say this is the last page of my my paper, and I need to list all my references. And if it's an APA paper, it'll say references up here at the top. You'll have to type that in. Then I'm going to paste that citation in there. I hit Control-V on my keyboard, and it's got, the text looks good, but it looks a little bit weird the way you can tell the margins are off and all that. So I'm going to highlight this. First, let's fix the font. Right up here in the font, we can change that to Times New Roman. Set it to 12 point for the size. And then we're going to go right in here to paragraph. See this little arrow next to where it says paragraph? We can click on this. That indentation that's why it looks weird. It's over 1.68 inches. We should set this down to 0. And then we should set the indentation to hanging so that all future lines except for the first one are indented over. It's kind of a reverse indent. Line spacing we're going to set to double, and don't add extra space. Don't add space between paragraphs with the same style. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I noticed we added an extra line there. I'm going to delete that. Okay, now the one thing it doesn't have in here that we will need to add, it should say at the end where you got this article, that you retrieved it from an online database, and it doesn't say that in here, so we're going to have to add that. You're going to have to type in retrieved from, and then we're going to have to list at least the basics of the database URL. So I'm going to close that. We don't need this full URL. I'm going to copy it and delete most of it, but here's the URL of the database. I'm going to copy that, right click, copy, back in here. So retrieved from, and I'm going to paste that in, right click, paste. Now this URL is way too big. All we really need is this, http://web.ebscohost.com. So I'm going to delete all this other stuff. I'm just going to hit backspace there. And that's as much as we need right there. And CINAHL is an EBSCO database. That's why it says that there. So there's your citation. Let's do another one. Now here, oh, I'm glad I did that. When you hit enter on most people's word processing programs, if you have a URL typed in there, it will automatically make it into an active working URL. And it'll turn blue and underline it, and it looks kind of weird. So what you'll want to do is highlight this, right click it, and remove hyperlink. Now it looks normal again. Now if you hit enter again, this happens all the time to me. Every time you hit it after that, it's still going to do it. So what you do, I've entered, so I have another line down here. I'll just remember to go down there. I'm going to highlight this again, right click, remove hyperlink. Okay, now instead of hitting enter this next time, I'm just going to click there because I've already got that line set up. Okay, now let's go back to the result list. Let's get another citation. Let's say we're going to cite some other ones of these. So here's the second article. I'm just going to do what I did the last time. Going to open this up. I'm going to click over here where it says Cite. And here's an APA citation. I'm going to copy this. going to paste this in here. Okay, and I'm going to make these corrections that we made the last time again. That looks a little strange. Let me double check to make sure it pulled the entire citation. Does it end with a 9? Let me double check there. Yeah, it does. Okay. So I'm going to highlight all this. We need to change the font, Times New Roman, 12 point. And then it's which is kind of nice, it's already mirroring what I had done in this other one up here. So it's looking pretty good. Now again, we'll need to put this at the end. And always double check these. It looks a little strange that there's no author listed here at the first. Now sometimes a journal will publish an article with just a staff author and they don't list an author. Let's take a look at this and double check it. Let's check it against what we have in here. Let me look at the actual citation. So I don't see an actual article listed. So sometimes you will have that, and if an author isn't listed, you start with the title where the author would go. There is the year after that. Otherwise it looks like a good citation. One thing you'll notice in here is that usually in APA it looks a little strange, but the first word of the title will be capitalized. The rest of the words, until you reach a colon, unless there's a subtitle, the rest of the words will be in lowercase. They will not be capitalized unless there's some kind of proper name or something in there. So it looks a little strange, but that is correct. Now I just had retrieved from the database in there, so I just copied that and pasted that down here. When I hit enter again, it's going to do that little trick, unfortunately. So I'm going to right click there, remove hyperlink. Let's go down to the next line. Let me grab another one. I'd like to find one in here with a DOI, which is a digital object identifier. And sometimes articles will be listed with that. And it is a correct way to cite it, but it looks strange. I'll see if we can find one with a DOI. No, that one does. And they may not list them in CINAHL anymore. They used to have them in here. Let me just go for a few other ones here and see if I can find one that has kind of an exception. Well, they don't seem to be listing the DOIs in here. So if you're pulling them from CINAHL, it looks like usually they won't. If you do ever run up against a citation, at the end it says DOI and lists like a serial number looking kind of thing, you can leave that in place of the retrieved from EBSCO. You don't need to put that in that case. In that case, it's listing a very specific digital object identifier which will take the place of the database. I know that sounds a little strange. I wish we could find a visual on it, but let's just pull this here. And also always double check these citations for errors. I think I see an error in this one, a few errors. And this will happen. EBSCO just makes errors in their citations. So we highlight it, Times New Roman, 12 point. We're going to go in here to paragraph. Hanging, we're going to bring the indentation over here down to 0. Double spaced, don't add extra space. Okay, you don't have to look too hard at this to notice a pretty big mistake. Okay, look at this title. So it's all in all caps, and that's wrong. But that's just the way that it came in here. You would have to correct this. How I would do that with these harder to spell words, I would just spell it out after it and then delete it. Injection. You'll probably have I don't know of a way in Microsoft to make everything lowercase. I've never found that, but there may be a way that you find in here. I don't know. I've never been able to find it. So I'm just going to retype this. Kind of a pain, but it's better than losing points on your paper. And it definitely is wrong to do it in all caps like that. So there we go. Whoops. Going to delete this. And otherwise it looks pretty good. Again, we're going to have to put this retrieved from ebscohost.com there to show that it came from an online database. Okay, so everything is looking pretty good now. The thing we'll want to do, though, you'll notice these should be in alphabetical order by author, or in place of an author, then by title. So there's a quick way to do this. If we highlight all these citations, we can highlight everything, click the A to Z button up here, or it might say sort. Notice that sort pop up. And just click OK, and then notice it put them all in alphabetical order there for you. So there's the basics of how you pull APA citations from the EBSCO database CINAHL. Let me know if you have any questions on this.